Hello lovely humans, how are you doing? Welcome back to my channel, and I am here to talk to you today about some updates and my final thoughts on Centaurworld. I'm still so sad that I'm done with this show. I've loved it so much and it's really meant a lot to me. But I'm so excited to talk to you guys about my final thoughts as you requested. I do feel like in the last reaction video I didn't really get a chance to say everything that I wanted to say because I was a little emotionally overwhelmed, so I'm really excited to do that now. And I just want to update you guys really quick. I know that I took a week off from videos, but I was in a show. Aside from my YouTube channel, I am an actress and voice actor, and I've been given the opportunity to do some on-stage sketch comedy acting. So I now have a few gigs that I, work here and there, which is exciting. We all have dreams, guys. So I needed to take some time. I also had I was a little sick, so I had to really rest and take care of myself, but I am back now, and I want to let you guys know that I will be returning with some more new cartoon commentary since now Centaurworld is over, and I'm so sad, but I will be finishing Agretsuko and returning to Amphibia as I promised you guys. I also heard a little rumor that the Owl House is coming back very soon. So I think my channel might turn into a mix of Amphibia / Owl House since I only have 3 more episodes of Agretsuko left. So expect that very soon. I'm so excited. There's so many things to come. But for now, we're gonna talk about Centaurworld. But first, for my kawaii item of the day, I have something very nostalgic and old school to show you guys. I now own my very own original Eevee Pokemon card. This is from the original Pokemon cards, guys, that ever first existed. This was the first Eevee one ever. I had it as a kid, and yeah, I still remember this one, her frolicking through a field with butterflies and flowers. My boyfriend got this for me, and I am gonna treasure it forever because this brings back so many memories for me personally, and also look how cute she looks. She's adorable. Look how happy she is. So I just wanted to share that with you guys so you could see it. Okay, let's get into this Centaurworld discussion. So Centaurworld was obviously a beautiful, magical, whimsical, crazy adventure with really over-the-top characters. But I will say one thing, if I could sum up Centaurworld as a whole, it's that it really, really surprised me as a show. I actually never heard of Centaurworld until my boyfriend brought it up to me and suggested that I react to it, so I had no idea what to go into watching it. I will tell you, he has a very, he really likes off-the-wall humor, really kind of out there, ridiculous humor. Adventure Time type stuff, the kind of humor where you're oh, that's a little weird and quirky and edgy, I guess you could say. So I'm not surprised that Centaurworld was something that my boyfriend suggested to me. But to be honest with you guys, Centaurworld was hilarious, and I will admit though, I wasn't expecting it to surprise me as much as it did in terms of the lore and how deep it actually got. I remember watching the first episode and I did have a reaction that was I'm not sure I can get into this. I'm not sure what I just watched. There was a lot that happened. It was a little too crazy for me, a little too out there, and I don't know what's going on. And I'm attracted to cartoons that have a lot of lore, right up front. You meet the characters, you get to know them, and then their personalities blossom over time, and there's little trickles of the lore in between. Centaurworld didn't really start off that way. I feel that it started off very random from the beginning, but man, the lore really did build up. And I will say that the biggest thing that impressed me right away with Centaurworld was the music. Even in the first episode, even though it was ridiculous, the whole welcome to Centaurworld, that opening song, I was this is literally a musical. And if you guys have watched my channel for a while, you will know that Steven Universe is one of my favorite cartoons of all time, and it has incredible music that's so emotional to each of the characters. And I will say Centaurworld blew me away so much right away with the music. By the second episode, I was crying because of the music. So I will say that, it's literally a musical in itself. Each character gets a musical moment to shine, and that is something I love about it. And I will say that I didn't expect it to get as epic as it did. Literally as the show progressed, yeah, there was always some silliness. There were always moments what? Why was that in there? But it got so deep until you finally realized over time what was really going on. So it didn't even trickle it in at the beginning, like you saw it over time. And I thought that was what made Centaurworld like very unique. It was able to stay really epic and like be this amazing, deep, emotional, lore-based story while also staying ridiculous and silly at the same time. And I think that's like pretty hard to do, you know? So that's something that I respect about the show a lot. Alright, so let's get into character breakdowns. I want to talk about all the main centaurs and what I liked about them, how the characters sat with me, and then I want to get to the villain, of course, and then give you guys my overall thoughts. So starting with Horse. Horse is such an amazing character, and I will say, talk about character development. She starts off as this hardened warrior horse who feels like all she needs to do is fight and battle all the time. And she believes that her vulnerable side is something that's silly. Having fun and singing and dancing and playing games is silly. She doesn't have time for that. She's a war horse. And through meeting the centaurs, even though it clearly wasn't by choice, she learns the value of friendship and that you can have fun every once in a while, and that, you know, putting your heart out there is something that's a real blessing and a beautiful thing. And, you know, they make that very apparent through her physical form when she changes into the Centaurworld version halfway through the show. At first, she is horrified. She can't believe it. She hates it. It's not what she wanted to happen to her, which is very understandable, but it is very reflective of the actual mental and emotional journey that Horse goes on through the show. She learns to let loose, she learns to embrace her soft side, and that you could still be emotional, you could still have fun sometimes, and believe in friendship and rainbows and giggle cakes, you know, but still be badass at the same time, which Horse was when she literally dove into the Nobur King at the end of the finale and saved the day, and literally saved the day by going into his thoughts, and she did that in her Centaurworld form. So how crazy is that? And then when she comes out of him, she's back in her cartoony version. So I just think that's so cool, like the way that they like modeled her physical appearance after her actual like inner journey. I really feel that seeing Horse go from this like really hard warrior horse to this kind of like uncomfortable, awkward, almost like she felt like a teenager going through puberty to me in these episodes, like kind of like, what's happening to my body? What's happening to me? Who am I? Into like, okay, I can still be emotional, I can still have friends and believe in love, but also still be badass. I loved that journey for her and it was amazing. On to Ryder. She's not one of the centaurs, but by the end of the show, she's part of the main crew. I love Ryder. I think she's super cool. I wish we got more of her in the series. I know there was only one episode that really focused on her, but I do love that, you know, her love for Horse was real and their friendship was real. Even when Horse was trying to tell her like, hey, there's this world called Centaurworld and it's crazy, but I need you to believe me, Ryder believed her because Ryder believes in their friendship so much. And also, she had some of the most epic action scenes in the whole show. Every time Ryder was on screen, I was like having a low-key girl crush because she was so freaking cool. Like, she's so stealthy and like great in battle and like, I don't know. I want more of Ryder. I want her to have her own show. And of course, most of all, I'm glad she freaking survived. Because if they actually killed her off, I don't know what I would have done, guys. I'm just glad she and Horse were reunited at the end and they get to live happily ever after together with Ryder's new super cool purple hair. Okay, on to Wamawink, who you guys all know was my first favorite in the show. Wamawink has always just resonated with me because she's this big fluffy ball of just love and rainbows and sunshine and pinkness, and she loves to sing very musically, and I relate to that. I've always viewed myself to be pretty much a little bit of a girly girl, in case you guys couldn't tell, but I still view myself as someone who's really strong too. And I believe that Wamawink embodies that energy. She is both feminine and full of rainbows and butterflies and giggle cakes, but she's also really, really tough and strong. And she has this big maternal energy. And I love that through her flashback, you saw that Wamawink was abandoned when she was younger. But you learn that she, over time, through finding all these centaurs that felt like they didn't have a place or they were struggling in their own way, she brought them together, she banded them together to make her own family. And I think that's so beautiful how you realize that over time about Wamawink. Like, she lost her family and created her own by bringing together all these different centaurs. And that's such insight into her character. I also think that's why she was so emotionally attached to Horse and didn't want her to leave the herd, and jealous of Ryder and all these things because, you know, Wamawink wants her family to be her family. She takes everyone under her wing, and then it's kind of like, okay, you're never leaving me ever. But it's cute, and I love that in the end, you know, Wamawink, you know, accepted Ryder in as well, and I don't know, you guys might all have different opinions on her, but I will always love Wamawink. I love her so much. On to Durpleton, Durpleton, Durpleton. My goodness, Durpleton. He definitely is, I think, a character that was written in to be, like, wacky for the sake of being wacky. The same with Glendale. Like, I kind of viewed Durpleton and Glendale on, like, the same plane. Like, they're both so weird for the sake of being weird that I think that was, like, the purpose of their characters. But that doesn't mean they didn't have depth. And that's, again, what I love about Centaurworld. They gave every single character a backstory and depth and a reason as to why they became the way they are. They literally developed everyone so well, it's crazy. And, you know, Durpleton is like, he's like a big child. Like, he's grown up, as Chet says in that one episode, he's like 40. That part always made me crack up. But he obviously has, you know, a childlike mind. And through, you know, his very interesting relationship with Stabby, he's able to be the dad to a son that his dad never was to him. And that made me really sad in that episode, guys. Like, I almost teared up when I found out that, like, I mean, actually, when you think of the name Durpleton, it does sound pretty fancy, so it makes sense that he came from, like, a very fancy family, the Durpletons. But I love that he felt like he was able to be a father figure for Stabby, as very weird and messed up as that relationship was, which it was. But I just like that they even dove into his backstory, and Durpleton was funny. He made me laugh a lot. There were lots of moments in the show where I was like, oh god, that's such a Durpleton thing he would do. But yeah, I loved him as a character as well. They all grew on me in the end. And on to Glendale. Glendale, I love her character design. Like, from the beginning, I was like, she's so cute. Like, I can't wait to see what she's about. And then as soon as she opened her mouth, I was like, oh my god, what? She was definitely maybe the weirdest one of the herd. It was funny how the ongoing joke was her stealing everything, but you even do find out in her backstory that, like, this is just a power that she has and not maybe, like, this is a power that she has, but not necessarily one that she wanted, as you learn when we learn about her backstory. So I think that's, like, something very interesting about Glendale. And I love how, like, when she sings, she sounds like a Disney princess. Like, I do know she's voiced by the creator of Centaurworld, which I think is an interesting thing about Glendale because, like, she may have been the creator's favorite character. I don't know that for sure, but she is such a specific character that I wonder if sometimes that was one of the first characters that the creator ever came up with for Centaurworld. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. It's just a guess because Glendale is so specific. And I don't know. I liked her. She's fun. I enjoyed her. She definitely added a lot of the wacky moments to the show. And moving on to Ched. Ched, honestly, as you guys know, he was not my favorite at the beginning. He was not. He was like a bro-y jockey character who was also very mean. There's nothing wrong with being a jock, but when you're literally mean and bullying people, he bullied Horse a lot. There's something up, but I knew at the whole time that the reason Chet was mean was because of, like, something else going on deep down. I knew he had a chip on his shoulder. To try to act that strong and tough all the time, there's got to be something else going on underneath, and I knew that about Chet. But I did see little sprinkles of, like, emotional sides of Chet throughout the show, and then when you see his backstory, guys, that was such a shocking moment for me, that whole twist with him. Like, I didn't realize that when he was little, he wanted to be one of those, you know, twirling in the garden sword fighter centaurs. I forget what they're called. But he couldn't because he was too small and he was made fun of and no one believed in him. And that's just so emotional. Like, I was not expecting that about Ched, and I won't lie, I literally cried during that part, and especially at the fight scene in the end when he finally has his weapon and he's doing what he's always wanted and he's, like, charging into battle. I was like, Ched, finally, you're, like, fulfilling all your childhood dreams. I was, like, so happy for him. So, and then when he gives Horse like a kiss on the top of her head at the end, it's like, and he apologized, he did. Chet even went full circle and apologized for being a jerk. Like seriously, this show impressed me so much because they tied up every loose end. And as you guys know, I'm sure, a lot of cartoons don't do that. Centaurworld did that. It tied up everything. It even tied up the freaking Jebri storyline with his jacket. He finally finds his jacket. Of course, when he finds it, it's too hot now, but they even tied up Jebri's storyline. Like, it's so impressive. It's so impressive how much detail they went into to do this for all the characters. Okay, and finally, the last but not least centaur, my favorite centaur, Zulius, my baby Zulius. I'm gonna miss you so much, Zulius. I love Zulius. I've loved him from the first time I saw him. I don't know what it is about him. I love him. I guess I will explain why he's so important to me. First of all, he's hilarious. Second of all, he's fabulous. And third of all, he's theatrical. I'm a theatrical person. I have a musical theater background. Love that about him. And it's never really, verified whether Zulius is completely gay or bisexual or whatever he is, but he's not straight. So to see a very obviously LGBTQ presenting character out there in the open like Zulius with like total theater kid vibes, which he totally had, I loved that. Like I loved that they were just like, this is who Zulius is from episode 1, and they just put it out there. Like that's rare in cartoons, I find, for like a main character to embody that personality. And that's something that I've loved about Zulius since day one, because Zulius reminds me of people I've met in my life. He reminds me of friends I've had, and like I think that's so great when a character reminds you of people you know. And also like I just love that he represents all of that. Also, Zulius had the best one-liners in the show. Sorry, not sorry. His little sassy comments I loved so much. He would always crack me up with like the little things he would say under his breath, like, and then the times when he would like break the fourth wall and be like, gossip time with Zulius. Like I loved it. And like he was sassy, yes, but there was also so much heart underneath all of that. Like even though, yeah, he had a sassy personality, he still was such a lover and loved Horse and all his friends so much, and you saw that the whole time. And I'm just so happy for him and Splendid. I just want them to live happily ever after. They are a beautiful couple. I'm still remembering them just like floating over that rainbow with their little umbrellas, and I can't stop thinking about it. Ugh. I'm just so happy that they got together in the end, and like, Zulius Bay, just live happily ever after with your man. I love you so much. I'll always love you, Zulius. I'm sad, guys. I'm sad. I love Zulius so much. So that's all I have to say about Zulius. Oh, and I will never forget the one episode I reacted to when we both had matching pink sunglasses, because that was an amazing day. So Centaurworld was quite an adventure, but I will say the ending blew me away. I did not expect this show that started off so random to end with this epic fight with this villain that was crafted so beautifully. I was blown away by the Nowhere King story because I really feel that his character embodied the true message of the show, and that was self-acceptance and accepting all of yourself. His struggle was that he couldn't accept himself as a centaur. He wanted to be either a beast or a man. He would have preferred to be a man, and that is why he separated himself into two. And that was because the human beings, as it's revealed, they didn't accept the centaurs. They viewed them as different, and even though their worlds were once connected, the humans were still judgmental towards the centaurs, and they were, viewing them differently, and they were just kind of viewing them as below themselves, which says a lot about humanity and equality and, judging other people for being different. What makes us different and unique is what makes us all beautiful as human beings. And I really do feel that Centaurworld was trying to prove a point that you need to love and embrace every part of yourself, even if you are, a little weird or a little different. Those are things that make you amazing. And it's very interesting too how in the whole Centaurworld world, before Horse came and changed everything for the better, all the centaurs were like separated into their own groups. Like the Cattars were with the Cattars, the Moltars were with the Moltars, the Birdtars were with the Birdtars, you know what I mean? And by the end, they were all together realizing, hey, at the end of the day, we're all centaurs. And I feel like that is the message, self-acceptance, self-love. And unfortunately, the Nowhere King couldn't learn how to do that for himself, so he lost his love and met his demise in the process. It's a really sad story, but I thought it was done in such a beautiful, emotional way that I was not expecting. Like, I just thought the Nowhere King would be some, like, dark, creepy entity, which he was. he was terrifying, and I was having nightmares about him. Like, I really think that character design was like insane. Maybe one of the scariest character designs I've ever seen for like a boss final villain character. Like, my goodness. But I didn't expect it to be like this whole backstory about like who he actually was. And I thought it was an amazing message. And through Horse, like bringing everyone together and even like going through her own emotional journey and learning to accept all of the parts of herself, she helped everyone else do the same. And I think that the death of the Nowhere King was like the final death in the universe of, you know, this judgment. Because they now live in a world where they're all embracing everyone's individuality. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Centaur. Not only did it have amazing music, my favorite songs, by the way, were Fragile Things, because that was the duet between Wamawink and Horse was like my first favorite song of the show that blew me away. And Comfortable Doug, because it's a freaking bop, and it always will be. But not only was the music amazing, there were so many laugh out loud moments. I think one of my favorite funny parts was when it's revealed that Wamawink has a Murtar fetish. I couldn't get over how funny that was. She was so thirsty. And of course, you know, the musical episode with Zulius and the Cattars. And just the epic ending battle, like that battle scene at the end when they were all charging into battle and like there were like reprises of all their individual single songs playing behind them, showing all their character growth. Oh, it was amazing. That was a moment for me where I was like, Centaurworld is a masterpiece. So to sum up my feelings about Centaurworld, it is a masterpiece. It is a surprising, wacky, weird masterpiece. And anyone who loves cartoons, animation, music, character development, and amazing lore, and a good time should watch it. So I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my final thoughts. I will be back soon with more Agretsuko and returning to Amphibia and starting the new Owl House. I'm so excited. I love you all, lovely humans. Thank you for going on this journey with me. And remember, we are all just fragile things, soft and small, and never been here before. But I will protect you. Always. I love you guys. Goodbye. I'll see you next time.